Good morning, kind people of the internet. Welcome back to the vlog. Let me get this a little bit tighter to get the head in the shot right in the middle. Okay, so this has been a fun week. One of the highlights for me has been the combo that I lead at Butler University had its first concert this week, and they played really well. I actually thought everybody really stepped up their game and played their best that they have all semester at this concert, which is great. That's what we want. It's hard sometimes, especially when you're younger and the nerves tend to get to you and you're just not used to that feeling and you don't know how you'll respond, but they all just really went for it and played really well. One of the really cool things about the concert was that we had this guest artist, Jennings, who's this trumpet player, play with us. And I'd like to share just a couple of little clips from the concert so you can hear his playing. So Jay recently put out his own album with original music, and so we played 2 of his original tunes on this concert, along with 2 standards. And along with doing his own project, Jay is a member of the band Snarky Puppy, and if you're not familiar with Snarky Puppy, the leader of the group, Michael League, describes the band as an instrumental pop band with a lot of improvisation without vocals. So that's an idea, and you can go look them up on your own and check them out. So when Jay was rehearsing with our Butler combo, we had a chance to ask him questions and interact, just talk with him a little bit. And one of the things I asked him was just about the beginnings of Snarky Puppy, because I had read that they started in 2003 and they've been a band since then, but it wasn't until 2014 that they won their first Grammy and really started to become much more visible and gain a lot of prominence. So I was curious about that time period because they were on tour basically nonstop for about a decade before they started to become known. And I was like, I was wondering what the morale was like in the band. Were guys saying, is it worth it to keep this band going? What the deal is with this? Is this a wise decision, or what it was like? And he was saying that a lot of the time they were sleeping on floors when they were on tour. They weren't really making a lot of money. And he also said when he was 22 years old and on tour with the band, he had to call his mom to ask for money because he just wasn't making enough money with that band. And I thought this was really interesting to hear, and I was glad that the students had a chance to hear him talk about this too, because thinking about that length of time, a decade of work before you really start to see results, is really interesting, especially because a lot of the students, especially undergrad collegiate students, haven't even played their instruments for a decade, let alone thinking about playing in a single band or trying to build your career for a decade. Oh, I think somebody's home. I'll be right back. All right, she went inside. She just got home from work. Okay, so just this idea of thinking long term, I think is huge, because just think, okay, say they played together for 5 years and they were like, okay, this is fun, we like the music, but we're not necessarily seeing the results we want. So what if they would have abandoned the band after 5 years or 8 years or 10 years? It took them over 10 years to really reach the level that they could and to really reach their potential as an ensemble. So Jay did have a lot of specific musical advice as well. One of the main things he was talking about was the idea of learning things in multiple keys, and especially tunes in multiple keys. So we were working on the tune How Deep Is the Ocean, and he could tell that the band wasn't super comfortable with the chord changes, but he was saying, you just have to spend the time with the piano and with the changes and hearing the tune and practicing it to get to the point where you raise your comfort level. So, ultimately you want to be in the position where somebody says, can we do this tune? And you can say back, yeah, what key do you want to do it in? Being able to play a standard in all 12 keys will open up the door for what you can do on the tune. And then when you go back to the original key, it's like, it's a piece of cake. You're not even thinking about the changes at all. You're really just hearing it. All right. This past week, I read this book, The 10th of December by George Saunders. And this book was actually given to me by my brother a couple of years ago. But for some reason, it got lost on the shelf. Well, not lost. It's just been sitting on the shelf. And I forgot that I had it. So I would definitely recommend checking this book out if you're looking for something to read. It's actually a book of 10 short stories, and total the book's about 250 pages, but I think I read it in maybe about 3 days. So it's a very fast read. It's quick, easy to read, but very exciting, very gripping plots, very interesting ways of developing the story, and lots of different writing styles within the different stories too. Sometimes it's like you're basically in somebody's head throughout this whole storyline. So there's no dialogue. You're just this person's thoughts. Another one was you are reading diary entries. So the person isn't using complete sentences, but the way that the story unfolds through reading the entries is really cool. Some of them, one of them was set in the future when they have this sort of futuristic device. I don't want to give it away, but how he will sort of drop you into this story and give you just enough knowledge to be able to follow along before he actually tells you what's happening. And before you know it, it's like you're hit over the head with these plot twists that are just like really, really well done. Apparently this book is a National Book Award finalist. It's one of the 10 best books on the New York Times Book Review from 2013. Again, the book is 10th of December by George Saunders. So definitely recommended. All right, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.